I'll give you the grand tour around the room and show you where I'm at the moment before we go pulling this window out. But I can't shift everything out of here simply because I don't have anywhere else in the house to put it. So I might have to cover something up with some bed sheets for the moment. But I can work around that. So anyway, as you know by now, this window's coming out and we're putting a smaller window in, which should only come to that mark, that tape mark on the ground, and will sit 600 mil above the sill. So yeah, there will be tiles on the wall underneath the window, which will help with with it being a wet room. So the bottom of the window is not going to get wet. It'll be this side that gets bricked in. My current wall space there, or the wall area at the moment, is I measured it all up last night, but I'm so tired this morning. I think it's about 640, and we're gonna, by the time we brick all this in and frame it and plaster it in, it'll come to 13, something around about 1340, which is quite a significant area for a shower, for a single shower. So yeah, we're going to gain a lot on this wall for the shower. You have to excuse my sniffles as well. There's a lot of dust in this room because I'm moving everything. This area here, we're going to punch that wall through and put a swinging door on here. I think it's a 720 door I got. And when that actually swings open, it actually stops here before the architrave, which is great. So there'll be no interference with the door coming, partly across the window. So that'll be a door to gain access into the toilet from this bathroom. So it's as if this bathroom has a toilet. It's separated by a door. Okay, I've just removed the wardrobe doors because we have to do some modifications here. This big masonite sheet here is the recess for my refrigerator leading off the kitchen, and the small one was the recess for my microwave. So the microwave's getting moved to a different part of the kitchen now. And we have to make some slight modifications to the size of the recess for the fridge. Reason being, it's going to be very hard to try and make out. I know I can make it out, but you might not see it in the camera due to the light in here. But I've done a rough outline of the wall frame here. I had tape down there at one stage and it's nearly all peeled off, so but basically we're going to run the wall right through here, and then it's going to return here, and inside this area is going to be a linen press. It's all going to be shelved inside, so you can put blankets and towels and any other little extra bits and pieces in there as well. And if I sell the house on and someone chooses, they also want to turn the very end piece of it into a study, a desk like this will actually go in sideways, and you could actually use it as a small study area and still have shelved area for linen. So what we have to do is basically dismantle all this. We need to start with a clean slate. So the fridge, I'll pull the fridge out later. All the framework that was put in 20 years ago for the microwave and the fridge. That'll all get removed. There's 2 power points, so we've got to disconnect those as well. This top shelf will get taken out. Although I do like maybe the fact of leaving a portion of that shelf there and putting some really nice doors on there in the bathroom area only. So you've got some overhead cupboard space in the bathroom above where the bath is going to sit, because the bath, again, from these tape marks, from this point here to this point here and back is where the bath is going to sit. So if I was just to plasterboard that over, there's always going to be a cavity above the fridge that's never going to get used. So I'm thinking about putting some nice doors on there. I can reduce the size of the return here, because obviously this was set up for doors, but we don't need to go this far out. And obviously there'll be no architrave on there, so you already lose whatever that is, half an inch or something. Brain's not working this morning, so let's, good thing I've got the old trusty tape measure here. I can get it out with one hand. Okay, so we're looking at about 12 mil. So I'm going to gain 12 mil just on the architrave. So yeah, basically we'll just gut all this inside here and we'll remove the whole shelf for now. We can always put the shelf back in later, and I'll probably do it, being a bathroom, I'll probably do it in a melamine rather than retain that chipboard. That's how they did it in 1982, before melamine, and laminate became the standardized type of timber or shelving that you would use in built-in wardrobes. So yeah, we'll make the modern modifications that we need to make, and but I think that's going to work out really well as a little overhead cupboard. You can keep extra shampoos in there, so you're not filling up the vanity unit, the bottom part of the vanity unit, with excess stuff. And you can maybe put, I don't know, even though the linen press is going to be here, you can still put a couple of spare towels in there, because I always have a tendency when it's wash day to take the towels out of the bathroom, put them in the washing machine, and then go and take a shower and realise I didn't replace the towel. And then I've got to walk through the house with wet feet, dripping body, on the carpets, to the second bedroom of the house, and get a towel out of the built-in robe there. So if I can keep at least one spare set of towels in here, I'm not going to have that problem in the future. So yeah, I think it'll work out nice. You don't really have a lot of storage space in a bathroom, so that's gonna come in really good, really handy. So let's go out into the kitchen and I'll show you what we've got to do here. So when I originally recessed this fridge area back in 2001, I had a massive fridge. It was I think it was about 580 litres. So I built the recess to accommodate the size of the fridge. Well, I know that whilst ever I live here on my own, I'm never going to need a fridge that big. And any fridge that you got slightly larger than this is still going to fit into this cavity. So you can go a little bit taller and probably a little bit wider, but I've got a lot of room here. Let's grab that tape measure again, guys. So, I've left enough room down the side for ventilation and for all those dust bunnies to collect, as as it does under a fridge. So if I measure up this opening here, the door's the widest part actually. It's wider than the frame. So I'm looking at about 175. You know, I could afford to close that up. Even say allowing for a bigger fridge, I can afford to close that up at least 100 mil, which would be better. I won't have to do much with my PowerPoint up there. All I got to do is just move it 100 mil with the wall. So there isn't a lot that I have to do to modify this. On the outside here, obviously all this this trim's got to come off. We're going to need to replaster most of this wall here. I always hate having to join plasterboard because this house moves and you get cracks, and at the moment we've got no cracks above that doorway there like we do on this side of the room, above every single opening. Got lucky on this one, don't know why. I think because that's all one piece, but that was a join there and that cracked open. So I have to decide what I'm going to do here. It's going to be difficult. There's most likely going to have to be a join here, because my plasterboard sheets come down to about here. So I can cut that out up and over, but at some point I've got to join it. Now obviously the edge will be behind the architrave here, but once we get past the architrave it will be a join, and I'm just real worried about it cracking, but what's the difference? It's all cracked in here anyway. So yeah, so what I've got to do is basically fill that in, move that over, and obviously new plasterboard to fill that slight gap in. And then from the laundry there'll be a sliding cavity door here. So I moved this cabinet over slightly yesterday to give me the required amount for the cavity and for when the door is open. So I think that comes in at about 800 or thereabouts, but this is not fixed, so this can be moved. I've had to take the architrave out of the bottom because obviously as I moved it this way that became too long and stopped it from going anywhere. So this cabinet can come over more if I need it to. So the sliding cavity door will be there to walk into the linen press, which is good because it's not concealed, but it's inconspicuous, I guess. I didn't want to have the door here. I think it would just look stupid having a door, sort of a door, and then another door, having 4 doors in a row. So by putting it in the laundry, I think it's a much better idea. And also, although this isn't a fully equipped laundry where you would have an ironing bench and things like that, and you could do all your linen in here, and then walk it straight into the linen press, I think it's still a more appropriate way to do it. You know, somebody down the track, if they buy the house, if I sell the house and someone buys it, they may get rid of this and then put a bench top in here, and that'll be their ironing station. They may choose to put a clothes dryer back in here. There was one mounted to this wall when I moved in, but it overhung the window. Dryer wasn't here, but the way they nailed the board in up just under the vent there meant that the dryer overhung the window, so that looked pretty ridiculous. you'd be better to mount it on this wall and have the door open from this way. But someone might opt to put a clothes dryer back in here rather than have it in the garage where I've currently got mine mounted. So that's what we're going to do in here. Now, the microwave too. The microwave is going to get moved below the oven, behind these two doors. So behind my toaster here I have a power point. I'm just going to piggyback off the back of that, run it through the wall cavity, bring it out through the backboard of this cabinet. Probably use this power point as well. Mount the power point in there. Bob's your uncle, all done. That's an easy one, that one. So, the other interesting thing is going to be that I'm not going to have a shower base here with a shower screen, simply because by putting this built-in linen press, or this linen press in here, obviously I reduced the size of the bathroom. Now I've got a nice wide doorway here, but as you walk in, it's going to get a little bit narrower as we get to these speakers here, because we're going to have the vanity unit here. Now the vanity unit comes out 450 from the actual face of the plasterboard. So it still leaves you a significant amount of room here to be able to stand, turn, do whatever you need to do. Now the bath isn't going to sit exactly level with this wall. It actually most likely will sit the width of the tape back. I think this is 25 mil, so it'll sit 25 mil back from the face of that wall. So there'll be a little bit more room here. As you can see, I was sort of playing around with some stuff last night. You know, this was going to be the original face of my wall, but this is now the original face of my wall in the bathroom, and this will be the face of the wall in the linen press. So I'm going to go with 70 by 35 timber in here rather than 90 by 35, simply because it's not a load bearing wall, and it's just a dividing wall. So I'm not going to go heavy duty, and I end up gaining 20 mil. 20 mil is 20 mil. So that allows me to move the bath over and just gives me a little bit more walkway room here. So yeah, the vanity will be here, and then basically you will have an area here where the bath ends, and then you'll have basically all this here, all this area here to walk around to the toilet. But remembering that this is sort of like a wet room type setup shower with no shower base or shower screens, so I have to I obviously have to angle the tiles in a way that the water is not going to run all the way through to the kitchen and not run all the way through to the toilet. So I currently have under this mat, this is not carpet, this was actually a big massive mat or rug that I cut down as a temporary measure, because this room had shag pile carpet in it when I bought the house 20 years ago, and then my wife at the time was into stained glass window making and anything stained glass. So what we did is we took the carpet out, we tiled this room because it was going to be more user friendly for stained glass. You wouldn't get fiber chips and fibers and pieces of stained glass stuck into the carpet. You could easily sweep and vacuum the tiles. So I still currently have tiles under here, although they're not going to be the colour that is going to be in the bathroom. So they're Spanish terracotta tiles. Now I may need to elevate the floor in order to get that downhill gradient for the shower. Now I've done a lot of tiling in my time, but I've never done a wet room. I guess like a wet, if you want to call it that, like a shower with no screens on it, no base. So I don't know what you've got to do with the floor in order to get everything to run towards the drain, but I know you have to slope it. I just don't know whether we can lay straight on top of these tiles, and then when we get to where we expect a shower base would be, then we just lay the new, we just slope the tiles down from there, or whether we need to just lay tiles, say, on top of here to this point, smash up all the tiles in here so that we're back down onto the slab level, and then it gives us a little more room to slope the tiles in. So I have to do a bit of investigation on that one to try and work out what we got to do. But it's not a biggie. We'll get it done. Here, big monstrosities. Two big monstrosities. Now, we were the first suburb in metropolitan Melbourne to get the NBN, National Broadband Network. So these were the two boxes that they installed. Everything's a lot smaller now, some 6 years later. But we need to move these now. We need to move these to a completely different room. Now, my best mate Paul, he's an electrician. He's never dealt with these Type 1 NBN boxes before. So we have to take a bit of a look at that today and work out how we can move these, because they are fibre optic. It might be just a matter of plug in and unplug. We don't know. We've never taken the boxes off the wall. We know what goes in to the bottom of each box, which is your Ethernet cable, and there's obviously a power supply there, and then there's a looping cable between the two boxes. But we've got to move these off this wall. You can see what a fabulous job they did when they screwed the boxes to the wall. One, they're not even level, and two, they split my plaster because they screwed it too close to the corner. So they've got to go.